Here we are.
Here we go again.
Slightly different format this week with regards to how we're going to cover things.
Completely unscripted. Well, let's talk about our friend Trump and the huge success that he seems to have had with his meeting with Netanyahu, and there could be peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, well, that means was it beginning of the week or?
Yeah, beginning of the week.
They were going to announce it, but then
it's been announced, and Hamas had until Sunday to release the hostages, and they said they were going to do so as long as the bombing stopped straight away. So we'll have to wait and see if those hostages get released.
Yeah, from what I saw, I mean, going back to his peace deal, it doesn't seem like much of a deal. It seems to be like, if you don't agree, we'll bomb the fuck out of you. And I did notice that there was supposed to be some online chatter that the Americans had sent some warships down that way and enhanced their capability within Qatar while it's not being bombed. They thought they'd take the opportunity. But so they haven't accepted it, have they, Hamas? They've kind of said, yes, we'll release the hostages, but
they've got some conditions. I think they've agreed some of it, but not all of it. But I don't know how he can have a meeting with Netanyahu and come out and say, we've got a peace deal, when surely a peace deal has to be both sides.
Well, yeah, kind of my point in that it's
only 50% peace.
If you don't agree, then we're bombing you, which is what I think Hamas have kind of said, well, yeah, we'll release them. Because that'll keep Trump happy. That's all he's been banging on about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to have the hostages back. And so they've kind of read that, I think. So we'll do that, but they certainly haven't agreed to the rest of it, and whether they will or not. But Trump seems happy, which is good. He's been fairly quiet the rest of the week, hasn't he, I thought?
Yeah, he has, which makes a change.
Yeah, we shall see what happens with that. And then we've got the protest that happened today, or is happening in London.
Lots of arrests.
Yeah, the pro-Palestine, is it? They're protesting for Palestine action or whatever. But
yeah, the little old ladies that go up and wave a Palestine flag are being arrested by the finest from the Met Police.
Yeah, I think feelings are running quite high over that because, as I mentioned to you, people obviously got their views. So a mate of mine happened to give a bit of a media commentary on it, and after the media commentary, received an email from someone, basically calling them a paedophile, bald, child molesting Jew, which I thought was a bit.
Is any of that true? Is he bald?
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, 1 out of 5 then, I guess.
I mean, the only way it could have been worse was if they kind of put in a sort of, Tottenham supporting as well. It really caused offence there. But there we are.
I think
feelings are running high.
I don't think you can have any sort of conversation on that subject without somebody having a differing opinion.
Yeah, quite. But there we are. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Which brings us on to the attack in Manchester, I guess, on the synagogue, which I guess was only a matter of time before that was going to happen. I mean, it's very sad. People got killed.
We're keeping it light-hearted then this week, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll keep the mood up.
Good.
I did struggle a little bit with Keir Starmer sort of taking the moral high ground, condemning it when he's pronounced that Palestine is a state, which it just feels a little bit hypocritical.
And there, I think, lies part of the problem, because you've got all this speculation, commentary around. I think a lot of people have got a fairly stringent view or fierce view, passionate view, call it what you want, on Palestine and Israel as a state. But it's interesting, isn't it, that no one attacks. Well, we do, but there's certainly not many reported attacks on Russians over here because of what their country's doing. So I think, and that's where it all starts to get a bit grey and conflated, I think is the word used by politicians, around, you can not support Hamas and not support Israel are doing, and not have to be against Muslims or against Jews, because it's a government against a state. That's my view on it anyway.
There must be a heightened sense of panic or concern, because I noticed that if the media reports are to be believed, the SAS were flown in relatively quickly to the area, which seems quite a big reaction for what in effect was one guy that took his action. I wonder why the SAS were there so quickly. Were they thinking it was going to be worse than?
I think that's part of the Plato that's talked about.
Oh, okay.
That's when it's declared, it triggers. bad terminology again, but it introduces a number of drop-down
automatic things that happen,
options,
and one of them is...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the way the media have reported is a little bit disappointing. Some of the media talking about the police kind of shooting the member of the public. I think no doubt he's died from a police gunshot, but the way it's been talked about, there is the chance that people could understand that, the police officer might have missed and shot through the door or shot him directly, albeit he wasn't a terrorist. Whereas and it all come out in the wash and the post-mortems and whatever, that tend to think that what's probably happened is the individual, the terrorist, has been shot, and then the round is probably carried on through the door.
Or missed the terrorist and gone through the door.
Or it could have missed, yeah.
Yeah. Some of the media reports did make it sound like the police had shot this innocent man. And I've got no doubt that isn't what happened.
And they're still talking about, phrasing it like that. And that, someone I know got approached to give a commentary on it, and it was certainly portrayed that the police had accidentally shot someone, as if they turned up and didn't know who was who and shot them.
Yeah.
Whereas it sounds like a tragic accident. I'd be surprised if they missed it at that close range. But anyway, very, very sad, and it'll all come out. And
particularly sad and confusing in a way for me if the stories in the media are true that this police officer could be prosecuted for shooting. And hopefully that isn't going to be the case, because in my eyes he didn't shoot an innocent person. Innocent person was too close to the scene, as it were.
I think
behind a door or otherwise.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the IAPC, there's many people that think the IAPC have got their heart set on successfully prosecuting someone for murder, and it will be raked over in the cold light of day by the 9 o'clock jury as to should they have shot where they did, and did they follow protocol and training, etc., etc., etc. Whereas it was probably just a tragic consequence, and no one should lose sight of the fact that it all came about because of the terrorist. If he hadn't done that, then there wouldn't have been any follow-on actions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Shall we lighten the mood a bit?
Okay. So I read with interest that Eurostar have released a new uniform for their staff.
Oh, right.
And in this day and age, obviously, it is designed for everyone to have their own identity. So there are skirts for guys, there are DM boots for women, trousers for women.
So can they dress up as a pilot instead if they want to, if they're not happy?
No, apparently not. Well, I thought it was a little bit strange that you could wear a uniform from your employer to express your own identity, when surely the whole idea of wearing a uniform is to express the identity of the company you work for.
I think the clue's in the title. Uniform is generally across the board.
Yeah. So I thought it was very strange.
You got any examples of kind of how it can differ to express your own identity?
Well, I think it's the chaps being allowed to wear a skirt if they want, so you can express your identity there. But you could. I just think that if a company tells you you wear the uniform, then you're expressing their identity. So you're flying the flag, as it were, for Eurostar or for British Airways or whoever. For the police, whatever uniform you're expressing the identity of that company. I just thought it was a little bit.
So I didn't see this, so I'm now intrigued as to. Can you, or is it about expressing your identity, but as far as sexuality is concerned?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. Or if you don't want to identify as a chap, then you can wear a skirt. If you don't want to identify as a female, then you can wear trousers and boots.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's quite limiting, though, isn't it? Or arguably, if you want to go the full hog, then they're only limited to someone who wants to identify as female who's a male, or female who wants to be male. But it's all within sexual identity, so there's nothing. If someone wants to identify as a clown, they can't.
No,
they can't wear like big
Which
shoes.
Which is discrimination, isn't it?
If you want or a cat. People want to identify as animals.
Yeah,
they can't. There's not like a furry.
Yeah, so it's not. You can express your identity to a certain extent.
Right. Okay.
If wearing a skirt is part of your identity, which in the photographs that was the example that they gave.
Well, I do find that quite discriminatory.
It is,
you can't identify as a an old person and you're young, or as I say, a cat or a clown, then what are they supposed to do?
I think it's an attempt by Eurostar to tick the woke agenda box and feel like they've done their bit, when actually it's only part of this whole identity, being a free spirit, not identifying as anything in particular. So I think they messed it up, but the whole thought of wearing somebody's uniform to express your own identity seemed a bit contradictory to me.
I wonder where you go with that, talking about somebody else's uniform. Is it, sort of
well, they're all
swapping halfway through the shift or something?
A company's uniform, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's different.
What's been on your mind? What else have you got for us to chew over?
Well, chew over, I mean, when let's talk about identity, then I went up to, as you said, it's a tenuous link, but one of the highlights of my week was I went to Millwall game this week.
Oh, yeah.
Millwall Coventry, and Coventry absolutely stuffed Millwall. So it was at home.
Was it 4-0 or 5-0?
It was 3-0 when we left.
Oh, right.
Okay. And then we heard a cheer, which I positively thought might be a shout for a penalty.
Right.
But my mate I was with informed me that due to the volume of the cheer, it was from the opposing fans, and sure enough, it was 4-0. But I mean, I talk about uniform. Obviously, there was a lot of Millwall tops showing their allegiance, and I think he showed football and British humour at his best, because as I said, we left at 3-0 and some people had left at 2-0, and the chant from the Coventry fans was, "Is there a fire drill?" Which I thought
a classic.
I thought was slightly amusing. But that was the only downside to the venture up there on a midweek game wasn't the sellout crowd, and it was on the way back with the obligatory numpty who decides that it's okay to put his shoes on the seat opposite him to make himself comfortable. One of my pet hates.
Yeah, I caught somebody trying that going during the week on my commute. So there was an exchange of glances, and he realised what he was doing and took his feet off.
Yeah, I just don't understand people that think it's okay, or we just don't think, whatever. And then there was another person as well getting obligatory, it seems, almost on journeys, that he was, I presume it was his girlfriend, or I don't know, it might have been his wife, but it was almost as if she was in a different carriage, the volume he was talking at, and everyone knew his life story, which wasn't that pleasant, I've got to be honest. But that was fun.
On the subject of football, I watched, and I have to be very careful with this to not name names, but I went to a football match today before this recording, and was quite surprised the team that I was there to support, the number of chaps that were
wearing dresses? No,
that were relatively young age, certainly half our age.
Teens then?
That were overweight.
Oh, right.
Which I thought was interesting, but also one of the guys that was on the bench reached a bit of a low point that I saw him smoking and holding a vape at the same time, which I thought was interesting, considering he's there at a sporting event. There's a couple of people on the bench that were smoking, which shows the quality of the team. But this particular chap was holding. Now, he might have been holding the vape for somebody else, but he had a vape in his left hand and a cigarette in his right hand, which I just thought was overkill, really. You've got to give your lungs a chance. Really.
Also dangerous as well, because if you try to light the wrong one, then that's not going to. That's not going to be good, is it?
No.
But he wasn't playing, and I tell you, he was just.
Well, he was on the bench. He was in kit, so he could have. He could have gone on.
Oh, right. Okay.
But yeah, there were two guys smoking, and one of them had a vape. So I thought it was very, very strange, very unfortunate. But there you go. Anything else to?
No, I mean my week. We met up in town, didn't we? On it was Tuesday, wasn't it? It was
Tuesday, yeah.
Very enjoyable.
That was insightful.
After my trip to Olympia for an exhibition there, that was equally, I would say, insightful. It wasn't insightful. It was just bearing in mind, where we are, 2025, and equality, blah de blah de blah. But there did seem to be on throughout the stands. I would say an over average, or an unusual, above average. Yeah, good expression. Number of very attractive women on the stands. I don't know whether they've been placed there because I mean, maybe they were the best people to be there.
Strategic placing.
Yeah, but I mean, that stretches back to exhibitions, going back years ago where it was, you were picked because of your looks. I just thought it was a bit strange.
I'll be manning the stand for my company for the first 2 days of this week. I wonder if they'll pick me for that same
I think they probably have, yeah. Have you also got a uniform where you can express your identity if you want to?
Yeah, as a middle-aged man in a suit, shirt and tie. But thank you for, was it Tuesday night? It was very good, and again, being relatively anonymous and not naming names, it was good to be in a location shared by so many civil servants. And for me, I came away completely understanding why this country is fucked.
You had an insight, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was prestigious. Not many people get to go in there.
Very good.
Anyway, apart from that, I mean, that was my main activities, and then I've just been meandering through the news and just wondering why we spoke about Trump and his peace deal, which isn't really a deal, just him threatening people. Did you see also as well I think it was this week, might have been just the week before, but anyway, where he summoned all his generals and that, and there was a big meeting, and he told them basically, wokeness is over. I'm not having fat people anymore.
Okay.
And
it's a bit popcorn.
He summoned everyone. His old defence. He's not called the Defence Secretary anymore, isn't he? Hasn't he changed his title now to War Secretary or something?
Yeah, Secretary for War.
Yeah, they're basically saying wokeness is gone.
Good.
You've got to be fit to fight.
Good, yeah, great. Yeah. I noticed in the US the government shut down for a period. I don't know if they're back.
I don't know they are.
But it's quite an interesting thought. If the government can shut down and the country still runs, perhaps even does a bit better than normal. Questions have to be asked as to why so many people work for the government.
I don't know what's more concerning for me that it said it's shut down. Just to be clear for people, it's not like a recess that we...
No, they were closed doors, gone home.
So I don't know if it's the fact that it's shut down or the fact that they said it's the first time in... And I was expecting, like 90 years or something, but it's 7 years. Last time Trump was there, and it's all to do with they can't agree a budget, can they?
Yeah, that's right.
So they sent a load of people home, like museum staff and
but critical staff like air traffic control and the like.
Well, when you say critical, then
well, in the US, air traffic control is terrible. But I thought it was interesting that government could shut down to such an extent and nobody really notices.
A little bit. Well, I think you notice if you need to go to a museum, or I think this is theme parks as well, or some parks.
So you're saying the government's Mickey Mouse?
Your words, not mine. Sticking on the subject of politics, obviously we had the quite powerful, inspiring Labour Party conference.
Yeah.
Which might have passed people by, I imagine.
It passed me by a little bit. I was expecting more from it. Keir Starmer got quite a big kicking from various people, and I think he's come out of it quite badly. There doesn't seem to be the power struggle for the control that Andy Burnham was going to introduce, which is a shame. But it was, I don't think very much came of it, really.
No, and I'm sure they used to be a week long, those conferences. I'm sure they start on a Sunday now, don't they, when no one's really looking or paying attention because the public are off, playing golf or having a roast dinner or down the pub or whatever. And then I think they end on Tuesday, which probably not a bad thing. The Green Party have just started theirs, haven't they? But you remind me, Andy Burnham. Now, how can I put this in a tactful way? He's obviously front and centre from the Manchester attack, and I think the way he's responded may galvanise support for him. He was saying very nice things today about Kemi Bay, not because she's visited, and I think he just presents himself well. And
so perfect timing for him.
I was trying to be tactful. I think the way he's presenting himself for this won't do him any harm, and I'm sure he doesn't relish the fact that it's happened.
I think he's quite well liked in Manchester. I think people view him generally that he's done a good job. So if he could do that for the whole country, then that's a good thing. Although he's not an MP, is he? So I don't know. He'd need to be an MP to be Prime Minister.
Yes.
Or to maybe not to be Prime Minister, but to lead the Labour Party.
Yeah, unless, I mean, Farage probably will, well, he is an MP at the moment, but the way he's talking about, you don't have to be an MP for anything else, so maybe we'll get to a stage where, you can do it on a part-time basis, or you haven't got to be an MP to be Prime Minister. But, yeah, so we've got the Green Party, we've got the Greens have just finished theirs, haven't they? And then we've got Conservatives starting theirs tomorrow, which will be exhilarating. Yeah, they can all decide how many seats they're going to lose next time round, and they argue amongst each other.
Yeah.
But there we are. One thing just occurred to me. I wonder if it would be, because we're doing this new format and kind of talking about life in general and people and just, people, never surprised me. Whether you gave a rundown of the person who had to deal with a rowdy passenger, which we spoke about in vague terms, but just to, I think we work on the basis that there are maybe some of the listeners, quite rightly so, see the best in people and don't necessarily experience bad things, and maybe don't even think they go on. So just to give an insight into what some people have to deal with and just how fucking bad some people can be.
Well, I think we all know that. Well, maybe we don't all know. Maybe some people have a sheltered life, but generally, the general public can be pretty demanding at times. Whether it's if you work in retail or if you work in hospitality, you've probably experienced nightmare customers, which is okay in a shop or restaurant where you've always got the opportunity to call the police and the police will be there within a few minutes, or you can kick them out of the restaurant or pub or whatever, or you may have security to tackle the shoplifters. But when you're in an aeroplane and people kick off through drink or drugs or nerves or whatever they want to put it down to, it's very dangerous. It's a very difficult thing to deal with, and
particularly if it's taken off.
Yes, particularly if it's taken off.
I think the technical term is mid-air.
Mid-air.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think people need to. There seems to be a fashion for these things to be happening almost. Well, it is certainly weekly in this country, where an aircraft diverts and a passenger is evicted. And for any of our listeners, don't have any illusions that it will change your life if you get kicked off an aeroplane, because you'll be banned by that airline, and airlines are talking to each other. You'll be banned by a number of airlines, and it could affect your employment if you have to travel for work. You could get a criminal record, all sorts of things.
So there don't appear to be any upsides? No?
There's no upsides.
Okay.
You're causing distress to your people you're travelling with, fellow passengers, the crew that shouldn't have to deal with that sort of behaviour. And I think for most of our listeners, you wouldn't believe exactly what goes on, but it does go on, and something needs to be done about it. But we can cover it maybe on the next pod. But it's unpleasant behaviour.
Yeah, and would you like to maybe elaborate more on
No. Maybe a good time to talk about the panorama.
Yes, because that is on your list, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just seen that. Yeah, so there's a BBC Panorama programme this week about the Met Police and specifically Charing Cross Police Station. And there was an undercover reporter who'd gone in as a member of staff, civilian staff, and with hidden cameras, and reported on some bad behaviour by no more than between 5 and 10 officers in a station that I think they said has 600 police officers. In the Met Police, there's 21,000 policemen in London-ish, round numbers. So it's a very small number, and I think you're going to have that sort of thing happening in any walk of life, in any job. If you look at companies where there's 21,000 people employed, you're going to have some people in it that might not approach things in the correct way and might have criminal records. And I think that although a lot of what was being said was pretty bad, these people are dealing with the worst in humanity quite regularly. So I'm not excusing the behaviour, but it's a small percentage, and I don't know what your view is, but it didn't really surprise me.
I didn't see it. I've seen it reported on and commented on. Did it surprise me it happens? No, to be honest. Sadly. Is there an excuse for it? Based on what I've seen reported as to what they and the few clips of it. Is there an excuse? No. As I say, am I surprised it happens? No. And I think it comes back to, again, probably not supposed to say whiter than white now, but it's expected that, police officers exemplary behaviour, and there is a but, and not justifying any criminal activity or whatever is being alleged. But, one of the places they kind of let off steam, de-stress, is, it used to be police bars and pubs and what have you. Now, and that's a clip I saw, what they're talking about happening, again, on the limited bit that I did see, was probably wrong, but I didn't know the full context of it. But conversations happen. So, yeah.
Most of it, was conversations between police officers in the police station, out of earshot of prisoners or the public.
But what were the conversations about?
The conversations were, apparently this woman had reported a rape, and apparently the accused had raped her and kicked her in the stomach to try and abort the baby that she was carrying. And then one police officer was talking to another one and then was saying, this woman was claiming she'd been raped, and the other officer said, or was she? So, it was casting doubt on that element of her complaint. There was a few things. There was one woman arrested, brought in, and she was wearing a leather policewoman's dress with a zip down the front and handcuffs. And one of the sergeants said to other officers, not within earshot of her, I used to pay good money to see women dressed up like that. But again, in an office pretty much full of blokes, maybe only one girl there, it's relatively harmless banter, but possibly not if you're fully engaged with the woke crusade. A lot of it, I don't think, was particularly horrendous, and I don't think it was as bad as possibly what you would have heard in the 60s, 70s, 80s by police. Right. I know that, and there was a lot of racist, talking about different foreigners and what were the worst, and it was all pretty bad. But these are, in a way, these are people that are dealing with this sort of stuff all the time, and they have to vent somehow. And it's almost like your air crew that whinge about chav passengers and passengers that kick off during a flight. It's just the same. That's a form of racism. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but I don't think, if anyone was horrified, then they must be living under a rock.
The bit I saw was on the news or where I was watching it, was recounting there was an officer recounting the tale to the undercover person around how a prisoner was basically their clothes were cut off, and the custody sergeant came in and stamped on their ankle. Assault's taking place is wrong, but if it was there's no but. The bit you're talking about, talking, is slightly different, because if any politicians or people think that police officers don't make comments or make comments about things, then they live in a different world.
But isn't it just the same as your doctors and nurses? Go back to their office, talk to their colleagues, and say, such and such, what a pain in the arse. If you work in a pub, I'm sure when the bar staff kick out the last punter, they'll be moaning.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think if it's conversation amongst colleagues to say the general public are a pain in the arse, I don't have a huge problem with that, because the general public are.
Yeah, no, I think we had a conversation before. It goes back to, WhatsApp groups. If it's a private WhatsApp group, is it, I don't know. If someone's offended in that group, then I kind of get that. But where does your privacy stop? And ultimately, if you, with the police or any occupation, with doctors, as you say, cabin crew, whatever, providing you carry out your duty professionally and without fear or favour, impartially, then the people aren't robots. I think that's what it comes back to. That's us then for another week, and as we've said before, if we could be at all bothered, we'll do another one next week. But to avoid us doing all the work, you're really welcome to have your input. If you have a gripe that really grinds your gears, then please share it with us.
You can contact us via the website www.grumpy-pod.com or WhatsApp direct to us on 07873 207 206. We have a no woke agenda, so the slightest hint of woke or apologetic slant, your message will be filtered straight to the deleted folder. However, if your gripe is suitably amusing and needs our expert opinion, we will include it in the next pods. Thanks for listening, and hope you can join us again soon. Bye.